My name is Jan Mitchell-Johnson, and I run a grant writing, training, and consulting firm called Grantsformation. And I put that together with grants plus transformation. It's like transformation with a lot of money. 1996, I was teaching middle school in Houston, and my principal came to my room and he said, "Hey, you know how to write this." And he gave me this big book of forms, and I didn't know what it was at the time, but it was a grant application. And I thought, well, I know how to write and I know how to follow directions, so okay, I'll take a stab at it. And so I wrote our first grant application, and we won $25,000 for a reading program. And then all of a sudden now I'm the expert in grant writing because I've won one. But it turned out I had a talent for it. You know, it was somebody that saw that I had a skill and then applied it to a different field, and that's how I got started in grant writing. And then I went on to work for the school district, and then from the school district I went into business for myself. The first skill a good grant writer needs is the ability to write well. That's obviously just a basic, but there's other skills too that come into play. If you're going to work for yourself, you need to be able to manage your own time. That's very important. You need to be able to be disciplined. I take frequent breaks because sitting at my desk is, very intense work period, but the ability to manage deadlines, multiple deadlines for multiple clients, the ability to ask the right questions and really listen to what the client is saying that they want and they don't want. Also hearing what they're not saying. Mostly I write grants in the education field, and I have that as my experience and my background. So I know what people are dealing with, and I know what questions to ask them to pull the information out of their head that they know they want in the grant, they just don't know it's supposed to be there. So because I understand their job, I know what to ask them so that they can give me information. I think that you need to have a little diplomacy, but you also have to be a good coach, because the people that I'm working with, they hire me because they don't know how to write grants. So I have to tell them, yes, we can do it this way. No, we can't do that. This is what's allowed. This is what's not allowed. And I have to be a little assertive with people. Usually they're great to work with, and it's easy for them to, follow my lead. But I can't just sit back and let them lead, because that's why they're hiring me. So I have to kind of manage them as well. I think that's an important skill, managing people. I think what makes me a good grant writer at the very basic level is I'm a good writer. I mean, I've always been interested in writing. I've always done different kinds of writing. It's something that interests me and that I like to do for fun. I've won just over $129 million for clients, and that's just in the 10 years that I've been in business for myself. In the couple of years before that, I worked in a school district, and I facilitated about $20 million in grants there. So that's almost $150 million in grants. In about 12 years. So that's how I got started, and I think that's what makes me a good grant writer, is that's the basic skill, is writing. The first thing I love about it is that I get to make money while I make other people money. Not everybody has that experience, so it's really great. I get to get paid for the work I do, but then I also get to see that the work I do brings in money for the client, and they get to create programs and jobs and employ people and serve people with that money. And so it's kind of like big splashes after I do what I do. Another thing I like about grant writing is that I get to work on different projects with different clients, and I can change the pace. I can do more work for people if we get along really well and the programs go well. If I'm not a great fit for a client and we don't have to prolong our relationship, and I can move on to a different project or a different client. I get to be in charge of my own schedule, which is something I really, really like. And involved in all of that is that I get to choose my projects, choose my clients, and then I get to, it's not the same day every day, you know what I mean? When I was an assistant principal, it was the same day over and over and over, but I get to work on a really intense time period. I get to work on a project, and then I can move on to another project, and anywhere from 1 week to 4 weeks usually is the only amount of time I'm working on something before I get to change and move on to something else. So it's always fresh, it's always new, it's always exciting, and I get to make a difference with a lot of different people. The thing I like about grant writing is there's not much of a typical day, but I'll tell you what kinds of things I do frequently. So sometimes I'm on the phone talking to clients, getting ideas about what they want to do. I hold conference calls with people a lot to find out, what is it they want in their program. I do lots of intensive writing. So I'll be sitting at my computer, thinking, writing, planning their program. Sometimes I'm constructing budgets. Sometimes I'm doing research on the internet to find statistics that I think would beef up their program. Sometimes, and my favorite part is, sending invoices to people. You got to get paid for your work you do, but a lot of client relations, and then interspersed with a lot of just intense thinking and working time. But I like the change of pace that brings. Well, the thing I have to say about Beverly Santacola and her grant writing as a career course is Beverly has a big picture view of a lot of different kinds of grant writing arenas. Not just community development, but education and healthcare and technology and everything. So she brings a wide perspective to grant writing as a career. It's not just one field or two fields, it's a whole perspective. She also knows how to work with people in rural communities, people in urban communities, people in nonprofits, people in community organizations. So when you're looking from the perspective of who do I want to train me in grant writing, I want somebody who's got their finger on the pulse of all that. I want to know what's possible, what's out there, because I might think I know something about grant writing or where I want to go, but if I take this course, it's going to give me such a bigger perspective on what's available to me as a grant writer that it's going to open up realms and arenas to me that I never even thought of before. So it's going to broaden not only my practical skills, but it's going to broaden my career possibilities as well.